Brian, you're my number one guy. Hey everyone, it's Steve and Brian, and we are doing a little thing on all the Batmans, aren't we?
You are my number one. No, I can't do it as well as you. But yes, we are doing a kind of like a retrospective slash just our general thoughts, I'd say, on all the what I'm going to call modern Batman movies.
Kind of ignoring 66 for now, but we will
And
be
the two 1940 serials.
we will be talking kind of about those a little bit here and there because they're so influential on these older
Yeah.
older ones.
God, how old is 89?
About 31, 32 years.
Yeah, about that. Wow, that's crazy. Did you ever... I will let you go.
Did I ever what?
Well, when they re-released it briefly in 2019, did you see it in theaters?
No. When they were doing kind of rescreenings of a lot of stuff at our local theater, kind of trying to keep the lights on, I unfortunately still couldn't go.
I saw Returns.
Yeah,
That was an experience.
that would have been magical to me.
Yeah, far better movie.
Yep.
But I'm gonna let you start, Steve.
Alrighty. The plot point for this is, having witnessed his parents' brutal murder as a child, millionaire philanthropist Bruce Wayne, played by Michael Keaton, fights crime in Gotham City disguised as Batman, a costumed hero who strikes fear into the hearts of villains. But when a deformed madman calls himself the Joker, played by Jack Nicholson, seizes control of Gotham's criminal underworld, Batman must face his most ruthless nemesis ever, while protecting both his identity and his love interest, reporter Vicky Vale, played by Kim Basinger.
I'm going to go with Basinger. I've always heard Basinger.
Alright, it's kind of hard. No one seems to be able to get that one.
I don't know. I don't think there's like a wrong way of pronouncing it.
I don't think she cares.
Is his identity really at risk in this movie?
It's always at risk because he's got a reporter up his ass. Remember? Vicky Vale's trying to figure out who he is.
Hey, Vinny, it's your Uncle Bingo. Time to pay the check.
Boom. The Batman is a 1989 American superhero film directed by Tim Burton and produced by John Peters and Peter Gruber, based on DC Comics' character of the same name, the Batman. In the first installment of what would be Warner Brothers' initial Batman film series, because they'll do it about twice, maybe even thrice or fourth.
About 4 times. They'll do it about 4 times.
Yeah, 4 times.
Fourth time's the charm.
Yeah, well, maybe the 5th time. Who knows? It's about as much as Spider-Man's getting rebooted these days. All right. He's counting on his fingers, folks.
Let me think.
The film's...
No, Batman's been rebooted more than Spider-Man.
Yeah, probably. Oh, yes. The film stars Jack Nicholson as the Joker, Michael Keaton as Batman, Bruce Wayne, alongside Kim Basinger, Robert Wall, Pat Hingle, Billy D. Williams, Michael Goff.
Like how you would cough.
Michael Goff, and Jack Palance. The film takes place early in the title character's war on crime and depicts his conflicts with the Joker. After Burton was hired as director in '86, Steve Englehart and Julie Hickson wrote film treatments before Sam Hamm wrote the first screenplay. Batman was not greenlit until after the success of Burton's Beetlejuice in 1988. A great film, if you ask me. You're shaking your head, but we'll contradict myself in just a moment. Numerous A-list actors were considered for the role of Batman before Keaton was cast. Keaton's casting was, of course, controversial, since by 1988 he'd only been known as a comedic actor.
Like Mr. Mom, Beetlejuice.
Yes, much like the way Bruce Willis was scolded for being cast as Die Hard.
Or Heath Ledger, who had done romantic comedies, and now he's doing the Joker in The Dark Knight, so on and so forth.
Basically, this was a part of the long history of people being cast in Batman roles and everyone going, that guy? Even Adam West was picked, and they went, that guy as Batman? I can't see it. But time and time again, people have been proven wrong.
Depends on who you ask.
According to Wikipedia, Jack Nicholson accepted the role as the Joker under strict conditions. on top of being top billing, which I mean it's Nicholson, of course.
Makes sense.
A portion of the film's earnings would be given to him in merchandise. 80%.
Yes.
80% of the
So
merchandising.
literally, anytime you bought anything that had Batman on it, we're talking about toys, the album, anything. He got a very big chunk of change out of it, and he encouraged Keaton to do the same thing, and Keaton did.
So no wonder they never needed to work again in their life. I thought they were just too good for films.
Keaton did that more for Batman Returns. Than he did 89.
So they're like secret trillionaires.
Kind of, yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, I don't know exactly the percentage, but I know it was a high percentage.
It was the late 90s toy deals, man. They made a lot of money.
Yeah, those toys.
All right. According to Wikipedia, the tone and themes of the film were partly influenced, not just a little bit, by Alan Moore's and Brian Bolland's, sorry, little hard to read font here. The Killing Joke and Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. I can sort of see that in a washed down producer way.
Yeah, in a very safe, digestible way, because those stories are not family friendly.
Alrighty. So the film was filming took place in Pinewood Studios from October of 88 to January of 89.
That's a short.
Yes, a lot of films back then were pretty freaking shortly made.
That's wow. That's wait a minute. Oh, you said October?
Yeah, October to January.
That's like 4 months.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. They must have had a lot of stuff.
From my research, which we'll go into later, I might have an explanation as to why.
Budget estimated to be $30 million to $48 million.
Yeah, it was boosted during production.
And it would take place during the 88 Writers Guild of America strike.
That could be why it took them so short.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, won a bunch of awards, a bunch of nominations. Okay.
Won an Oscar.
Oh, yeah, won an Oscar. Oh, yes. So, this would, of course, then start a franchise, which would be later installments called Batman Returns in 92, Batman Forever in 95, and finally Batman and Robin in 97. And we're going to kind of get why those kind of were the end of this franchise until...
And how they were canon but not canon.
Until the mid-2000s. With the rebirth of the Nolan Batmans. Alrighty. So, budget, I said, was 35 to 48 million. In today's money, that'd be 80 to 90 million.
Not bad. I mean, it would make sense for the type of movie that they were doing.
Kind of low budget considering especially for...
Well, I think most of that budget probably went to Jack.
I mean, that was a decent budget then, but in today's money, that'd be like almost an indie film.
Kind of was back then.
Box office, I'm gonna guess for just the U.S. was $411.6 million.
It was considered, I think, next to The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark, like the biggest movie of the 80s.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of money. And today's money, that'd be counted for these are all accounted for inflation. $930 million, which decent, but like. Hollywood math would kind of say that might be a flop to some people.
Every movie's a flop.
Oh yes, in Hollywood,
even Spider-Man.
Yeah, no movie has ever made money. Every movie is a huge fucking pile of shit failure.
Oh god,
$2 billion failure.
Now we have the plot out of the way.
All right, yes. So we've kind of got the plot kind of loosely out of the way. Basically, we have this character, Jack Nicholson, plays, called Jack Napier, who is working for this mob guy named...
Carl Grissom.
They get into a tiff with the corrupt Gotham PD that's sort of in the mob's pocket here.
Or at least, it's implied that at least one of their head, guys is, which is, Lieutenant Eckhart.
So, Grissom gets into a tiff with Jack Nicholson's character... Napier over Napier having relations with his girl.
Yes. Which is like the number one thing you don't do in a mob.
Yeah. What
are you doing?
Yeah, you don't mess with the
Fun
guys.
fact: she was a model like a really famous model at the time. I cannot remember her name.
I definitely remember seeing her in
but
some
she was
some
like
ads
a
back in the day.
big model. So like getting her in was like kind of huge.
Yes.
I mean, granted, for a non-actress, she does okay.
Yeah. So they're at the. So that takes us to the what was the X?
So it's called Axis in this movie. In the comics, it was called Ace.
Yeah,
But in earlier drafts, it was called Apex.
Yeah. So most of the time, this would be the Ace Chemicals incident that that Joker. 90% of the time, this is his origin story of the Batman shows up to stop a crime.
He's committing.
Basically a mob war versus the cops sort of issue. Batman and Jack Napier get into a fight. Napier gets injured, falls into a vat of acid. His skin gets bleached. His hair turns green.
Are we sure it's acid?
It's some sort of.
I
chemical.
know they say it's acid,
it's
but
some
like,
sort of.
wouldn't that like burn your skin off?
It's an acidic bleach chemical.
Okay, that's fair.
I always.
I remember Robert Wool's character.
I just always say that Batman characters fall in acid. It's mostly
OSHA.
True.
You're always on about OSHA.
Oh my god.
But there was you can't say that about this, because he fell over a railing.
Yes, he did. Yes, this was just a normal industrial accident. This place was actually following some OSHA guidelines.
Yeah, it looks like it was a pretty legit like chemical factory.
Yeah, for a mob owned garbage. So the Joker, he after having a plastic surgeon fix him as best he could, Napier is left with a permanent smile from nerve damage and scarring. And his now bleached skin turns already psychotic man into a cartoonishly psycho man, where basically
I love that cartoonishly psycho.
Nothing matters. Everything's a joke to him now. He then kills his boss Grissom, takes over the mob world, and starts off wacky crime adventures.
Where he basically holds Gotham hostage.
Yes. Which now it's up to the Batman to stop him. Batman is, of course, entangled with new local reporter Vicky Vale as Bruce Wayne's love interest and thorn in Batman's side as she tries to reveal his identity to the world.
Or at least that's her initial goal, but I think she kind of gives up on that when he saves her like 10 times.
It's not quite clear everyone's motives in this movie.
I mean, Knox is straight. So Alexander Knox, who's a fellow journalist with Vale, who's Robert Wool's character, his goal is pretty much like, I just want to prove that this dude's real.
Yes, they're just trying to prove that the Batman exists. He's just sort of this mythological thing, the boogeyman for the criminal world.
Now, I actually want to talk about how we were introduced to him.
Yes.
So the movie opens with a tourist family. You're initially confused. And when I was a kid, I thought it was the Waynes.
Yeah, you think maybe it's the Waynes.
But nope, it's just a mom and dad and their a little annoying son, Jimmy, or whatever the fuck his name was. Who cares? Yeah. They're
trying to get to 7th Street.
Yeah, and yeah, that's right. They were trying to get to 7th Street, and he was accosted by a hooker.
And then the child was accosted by a hooker.
Yeah, which I'm like, wow, Gotham's a horrible place. Why are you here?
And then the dad's pestered for $1 by a bum.
And man, just $1.
And then they go through Crime Alley, and they get.
Well, it's never said Crime Alley.
It's Crime Alley. Every aisle.
Well, Crime Alley in Batman is a real specific area.
Yeah, well, they go through an alley and get held up at gunpoint, much like Batman's origin story.
And we see Batman just witness this crime and seemingly do nothing at first.
Oh, he waits.
So as the two thugs are on a rooftop counting the money, American Express card, don't leave home without it. Sorry, I can't help but to quote this movie a little bit.
Yep. There's a lot of ad placement in these movies.
There's a lot. You see Batman. For those of you who were, well, obviously you were just listening. I have my arms stretched up like I was holding a cape, like bat wings. He comes down like from the back, and all you see is a silhouette of him.
Yes.
That is to me horrifying.
Yes.
Like even like I know he's a superhero and I know he's like safe and all that, but like holy crap! And you just, it's really well done. You kind of get the perspective of the thugs a little bit. That you hear some like gravel or something just like move. And you look up, and he just expands his wings, and he's just looking down at them in this, like, black suit. And it's just like, wow.
Yes.
Jumps down, beats the crap out of him. They shoot him, and he just gets right back up like he's Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Which this whole sequence is done on purpose. They were a
Yes.
big fan of like Dracula movies, and they
Yeah,
wanted.
they-
Burton felt like the best way to go about approaching this guy is to treat him like he's a monster.
Mhm.
And then, is if you notice that approach changes throughout the movie. He's less and less monstrous.
Yes.
He's literally more like, okay, I'm out here. I'm ready to go. Let's go kick some ass. Let's do it. I'm ready to go wreck the Joker. But the Joker is more in the spotlight. The Joker, a lot of people kind of say this is like the Joker's movie,
Yes.
but the way I kind of like that. What do you think? That like the Joker's more in the spotlight than Batman?
Yes, he is. So, going on with the plot just a little bit more, Joker concocts a way to become uber famous. He takes to the
Airwaves.
airways to say that he's tampered with all of the Smilex brand beauty products.
Sorry. It wasn't that it was Smilex brand. That was his own brand.
Yeah.
His thing was he pretty much was like, oh yeah, you already bought it. If you bought like cleaning products or detergent or anything like that.
Yeah,
or,
anything
like,
that anything that came out of the local
Axis Chemicals.
Axis Chemicals,
which he took over.
He had tampered with.
And now it's his own special ingredient, Smilex.
Yes, Smilex, which basically is this versions of the Joker gas.
Yes, because it does not exist in the comics. Well, it didn't exist at the comics. Now I think it's been incorporated over the years.
Yes, which turns everyone into a laughing fit, dying with a smile corpse.
Yeah.
And the Batman must stop this while rescuing Vicky Vale from the clutches. Eventually revealing at the end that not only is the Joker the root of all of his problems, he was the murderer of the Waynes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The movie ending, of course, with a fight where the Batman becomes victorious.
By throwing the Joker off of a 100-foot cathedral.
Yes. This Batman actually does, in fact, kill.
Yeah, he kills quite a bit.
Yes.
He blows up a factory full of dudes.
Yep.
That is the way as to how he stops the chemicals. Is he literally just
he just blows up.
He figures out he is a detective in this,
yes.
And you figure out that like when he takes Vale back to the Batcave, he's not just doing that just to show her like, oh hey, this is my cave, where he shows her, the Joker's tainted hundreds of chemicals at the source. I figured out how he's doing it. I need you to take this to the police.
Okay, so with the plot out of the way here, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. Let us start with the behind the scenes. Kind of really get to know what was going on in this time frame. So in order for us, before we can talk about the plot, we have to talk about the actors, the behind the scenes. So we have this movie, okay? It's 1966 happened. It was all campy. It was all gritty. Now it's the late 90s. It's the 80s, all right? People have seen American Psycho.
That didn't come out till the 90s.
Oh, it's okay.
So can I kind of explain a little
right.
bit where superheroes came from, like this genre and all
Okay,
that?
so why don't you explain superheroes to me so we can get in a good headspace?
So just to kind of make this, to kind of give you an idea as to how we got to a movie like 1989 Batman, we kind of have to go back to like what Steve was saying with the 60s, where Batman was goofy, campy, he was on everyone's television screens, but there was also a movie that was a success at the time, and he kind of became that to the public eye for a long time. In the comics, they worked very hard to change that. They changed his costume up. They changed many elements about him. There was books like The Dark Knight Returns, Year One, The Killing Joke, Year Two, Lonely Place to Die, so on and so forth, Death in the Family, where, okay, this isn't the 60s Batman anymore. This is something to take seriously.
Yes, so in between the 60s and the late 80s, comics had changed. Mm-hmm. They went from goofy just goofball adventures of these wacky heroes to actual depth and character. They were
Talking about drugs, murder, all kinds of things.
psychology and what it means to be wearing the mask. A lot of stuff that we're seeing still in today's comics. We're no longer having the wacky child adventures meant to cheer up some GI stuck in a foxhole. Now it's entertaining the masses and getting kids kind of used to real art and real story is happening now. So in order to try and do that, like I said, the Killing Joke had just come out, which was kind of, it was dark, it was gritty, it was some real artistic thoughts using these superheroes. So Hollywood decided to try and reflect that in a superhero movie. Thus, we have this darker toned, more grounded superhero in Michael Keaton's version.
It wasn't just that, too. The other thing was Superman.
Yes.
Superman came out in 1978 and crashed and burned in the 80s. So when Batman was in production, now Batman was in production as early as treatments were being done as early as 82.
Now, when were all the Superman movies?
78, 80, I think 83, and then 85.
Yes. So earlier, before the Batman got his turn, the first ones were really Superman's. Now, Superman started out campy,
but still took him seriously.
Yeah, they're trying stuff, and then they got cheesier and cheesier.
Like the Quest for Peace.
Yes. Now, Batman, here we are, trying again to get away from the camp. Now, there's still some campy aspects. We're making cheesy jokes right off the bat in this movie.
Like this town needs an enema and stuff like that.
And the fight choreographs aren't as heavy hitting.
For the time, it was good. I mean,
yeah,
he's fighting people in an alleyway. He's in a dark suit. Now, you know why he's in a dark suit?
Why?
So, the original drafts of Batman from Steve Englehart described the comic book costume, the blue and gray with the yellow oval target chest or whatever. This was before the black and gray costume came back with like the Dark Knight Returns in year one. So, it would have been like the 70s Batsuit. So, when Tim Burton got on board, he saw that and was like, I don't want to do that. I still want him to look like Batman, but I don't want to do that. So concept art was done up of kind of like a futuristic military. And if you actually look up concept art of the Batsuit, it's interesting because a lot of it looks like the Christopher Nolan suits too.
Yes. So in '89, we're away from the spandex.
And he's wearing body armor.
We're more into a body armored look. It still kind of looks like how we would see it in in just a couple of years, the Batman the Animated Series, which kind of goes hand in hand with these movies with influence.
Yes.
One influencing each other. In
more so, BTOS being inspired by the movies was like the designs of like the Penguin and Joker.
So before because that comes out in 92. This comes out in 89. Batman in this one, he's not in a blue spandex suit like we see in Silver Age comics.
Or even today, he's back in that.
Yes, it depends on who's writing. Sometimes he's in a more spandex.
Sometimes he's in body armor.
Sometimes he's in like almost an Iron Man like suit, really. It depends. Depends on how
what the situation is, I guess.
Yeah. How geared up are your villains here? You know, like, are we dealing with guys with pistols like we are in this one? Or are we dealing with men with automatic machine guns and laser guided missiles?
Like the Arkham Knight.
Yes. This one's gritty. This one's dark. Which is why you have a more serious toned actor. Now, they're thinking of all this while making this movie, but then they're still not quite sure if audiences are going to go with that. So they have to add a more comedic accent to it.
Right.
Thus, why they chose Burton. Burton was the guy for you want a dark comedy, you get Tim Burton.
Didn't he do Pee-wee?
He did Pee-wee, he did Beetlejuice.
Right.
He
Frankenweenie was a short
he'd
that ran
he'd
around.
done like a bunch of stuff. He'd eventually go on to do produce Nightmare Before Christmas and a bunch of
Edward
other stuff.
Scissorhands.
Yeah,
And
they knew that this guy was going to give them a dark comedy, which was a safe bet for Warner Brothers.
the problem was he didn't get comic books.
Of course not. Tim Burton. You said that supposedly he can't read comics.
So what he explained it. He goes, over the years I tried, and with Batman, he just didn't get like the panels, which is it. Like you saw, we were talking about this, I think, behind the scene, like before we started recording. It's not that he can't read them. He just doesn't get like A to B sometimes. Like, okay, which panel am I starting with? Sometimes comics can be a little bit hard to read if you don't know where to start.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not understanding the psychology of word bubble association,
right? That's what it is. It's the word bubble thing.
It's kind of strange because as a director, he should be fairly used to.
He's also an artist first.
Yeah, he's an artist and a director, so he should be very used to storyboard structure and all that. So I guess he's just kind of a weird guy.
He's a very eccentric man, and for a guy who didn't grow up, like he grew up on the 60s show, like everybody did.
Yeah.
And then he started really appreciating Batman later in his life when he was doing the movies. For a guy who is coming in like that, I thought he did a great job.
Yes. He wasn't someone who was super influenced by the grit. So now we have...
I'm looking up something. Keep going.
So now we have the reasons for all these castings. And I think we need to start with the casting of some of these people. You have Jack Nicholson and you have Michael Keaton as your protagonist and antagonist. Now, Michael Keaton was kind of they're all oddball picks. The history
Except for Jack.
The history of Batman, like I said before, every time you make a superhero movie, most of the time it's someone goes, wait, they're picking that guy to play this. Now, in case in modern stuff, Shang-Chi, that guy basically said, "You're making this with me, or you're not making this at all," and we all agreed.
I think another kind of more, I guess, controversial pick, which happens to be Batman related, would be like Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Oh, it's always like Heath Ledger as the Joker, Jared Leto as the Joker.
Boy, that worked out really well.
Christian Bale as
Christopher
Reeve as Superman. Every time you have a superhero, people go, "Wait, you want this schmuck?" I mean, the only time anyone didn't complain was Henry Cavill
and Ben Affleck.
Because
no, people complain about Ben Affleck.
People complain about Affleck because they were used to him being like Kevin Smith's.
Hell, people complain about Robert Pattinson.
Well, yes. We'll probably we'll have some thoughts about him later
when we get to the Batman.
Yes. So, like I said before, Keaton was kind of the last pick. They wanted all sorts of people. Baldwin. They wanted Clooney. They wanted.
No, they didn't want Clooney this early. They wanted Baldwin. They wanted Ray Liotta. They wanted.
Oh God, I could not see Ray fucking Liotta. He would be terrifying.
I'm just picturing Ray Liotta like curb stomping like a Joker thug.
Oh my God, Jesus! Like now, give me a Ray Liotta as Black Mask or someone.
Yeah,
now we're talking.
Or one of the gangsters like Falcone or Maroni.
Yeah.
I forget who else. Okay, so you're not going to believe me on this one.
Uh-huh.
They wanted Bill Murray as Batman one.
Yeah.
They wanted Bill Murray and Eddie Murphy as Batman Robin.
Nope.
And I think even Bill Murray was like, no.
I'm not putting on the fucking suit. And
I'm not wearing that.
You want Eddie Murphy as Robin? Are you smoking dope? Eddie Murphy would have been like, no.
Hell no, man. No. I'm not. No, I'll be Batman, but I ain't going to do Robin.
Now, can Bill Murray and
I'm sure.
And Eddie Murphy give you serious roles?
Back then, yes. Sure, yeah, but they're like the same age. So why the fuck is Eddie Murphy Robin?
Yeah. I mean, Eddie Murphy was like young, and there's about a 10 to 20 year difference there, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think at least a 10-year difference. But there should be like a 20-year difference between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, so They wanted originally this to be a Batman and Robin film. Robin, of course, would be cut
At the
until,
last minute.
yeah. Um,
There's an entire storyboard of when Batman is chasing the Joker, and he just literally runs into Robin.
yeah. So the reason why they picked Keaton was because out of all the people they picked, he was the one that could give them the right tone of brooding. They wanted a brooding Batman. They didn't want a they wanted someone who could be funny,
Mhm.
but could do it in a straight man's way.
The only time he's funny to me is when he's literally about to fight the Joker with a fire poker and screams, "You want to get nuts? Let's
Oh,
get
they
nuts."
wanted someone who could give
Like
them,
literally like 2 seconds, flip on a switch and just be like, "You want to get nuts?"
yeah, they wanted someone who could both make you laugh and make you afraid for your life, which was why they picked.
And also someone who this Bruce Wayne is so socially awkward.
Yes, they wanted they were going for a different type of Bruce Wayne. This Bruce Wayne, they didn't want to be a playboy. They wanted him to be a weird recluse.
So my theory on that is Burton is a very introverted guy,
Yeah, so he wanted someone that he could.
kind of like relate to, so that would make him easier to direct that type of
Yes.
character.
So they got a kind of a weirder recluse introvert type, someone who would rather be left in his
Alone.
mansion alone and only does the social party thing for
Charities and shit.
yeah. And then Jack Nicholson, they got, well, he was the number one pick, unlike
Yes.
everyone else.
As
They
early as far as I can tell, he
80
was as early as like 86.
yeah, 86, even rumored to be as early as 1980 when they first conceived this movie.
Right. So there's a lot of, from the research I did,
Yeah.
there's a lot of discrepancies. One discrepancy was Brad Dourif was going to be the Joker,
Mm-hmm.
which was Tim Burton's like first guy because he loved Brad Dourif. But then it was Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe was, and even though Warner Bros. Liked him, he wasn't a big enough name, so they felt kind of worried about it. They liked him.
Yeah,
They liked him a lot.
I'm sure he gave a fantastic
I'm sure he
audition,
did
as we would later see him his
as the Green Goblin.
yes. So we kind of already got that. What we would
And then Michael Uzan, who is the executive producer on all these movies, like from
Mhm.
'89 to the Batman, he was the one who really wanted Jack, and he got Jack involved in officially as early as 1986. But
Yeah.
it might have been he was in talks with Jack, I think, as early as Steve Englehart's first draft, which was in '82.
yeah, which in order to get him in here, because he was kind of on the fence, because he was kind of tired from other work.
Mhm.
He'd been doing a lot of movies at that time. I think they tricked him by saying that they got Robin Williams
Yes.
and Robin Williams really wanted the part.
Yes, Robin really, really wanted to, because he grew up on superheroes. You know, he was like, I can do it, and I can. And I think I don't know how I would have felt about him as the Joker, but I'm so used to like '90s Robin Williams that I don't know much about '80s Robin Williams.
I don't think so. Robin Williams is a classically like he went to Juilliard, and he was so he can do theater. He can do serious. We won't see this from him really until later in life, during 1 Hour Photo.
Yeah,
and
way later in his life.
when he does more darker roles.
That one episode of Law and Order he was on.
He was.
Oh, he was great.
Oh,
I gotta show it to you.
I
He
gotta
was
see it.
phenomenal.
So basically, he wanted to be this, and I don't think America would be ready for that because they would expect too much ha from him.
Well, also too, Mork and Mindy.
That and the Joker's not supposed to be fucking funny. He's supposed to be a bad comedian. You can't get the
So the Joker tells bad jokes. That's the whole thing. He
Yeah.
tells bad jokes. And also, too, Robin Williams has a very friendly looking face.
yeah, like Robin Williams.
You have
is
to put a lot of makeup on him, and all that. On there.
that's kind of how it works. Is that
like we have a poster of a Batman comic book, and it has the Joker's face on it, and I'm trying to picture that as Robin Williams.
No,
and it's just not.
It's simply wouldn't have worked because Robin Williams probably would have given a very interesting performance, but he's more of a psychological, like, I'm a
cerebral.
like I'm crazy, not haha crazy.
Right.
Like, in order for him to be a madman, it's like, oh, this is a normal guy who has lost his fucking mind, not some
Kind of
whack.
like what we got in Joker.
Yeah, where it would have been more like the Joker, with Walking Phoenix, but that one fit tonally with what they wanted for Nicholson, who was kind of like just the guy who said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna kill everyone because I can."
The way I kind of see Jack's Joker is that he's a condensed version. There's two ways I see him.
Yes.
He is an updated Cesar Romero.
Yep.
And he's also theoretically the most comic accurate Joker for that time.
Yes.
He is very flamboyant, and that kind of goes into a lot of his outfits.
Yes.
And he's very in the spotlight, on TV. He's laughing. I think he laughs a lot in this movie.
Yes, and he laughs maniacally, like a crazy clown. He does this very well. So, and then, of course, going through it, everyone else that they picked for this particular movie was either through convenience or they just figured this was the best person for the job. Michael Goff. Sorry, I cannot get his name.
You
right.
apparently cannot get this man's name right. And we have 3 more movies where he's in. So you better figure it out.
He was like a perfect fit for Alfred.
Yeah,
he could do it.
think.
Kim Basinger.
I'm going Basinger.
She was a last minute replacement because of an accident on set, right?
So there was another actress, Sean Young, who was in Blade Runner, who really impressed producer John Peters, Tim Burton, everybody, because she kind of had like this old school classic beauty look, which is what they wanted for Vale. And I think even Bob Kane, that took a lot for me to say, liked her. So everyone liked her. And she had great chemistry with Keaton and Jack. What happened was there was a horse riding scene in the movie where you would see more of Bruce Wayne.
I guess all that got cut.
Yes, this whole sequence got cut.
Yeah.
Well, she fell off the horse, and I think she either broke her leg or broke her back or something. Like it decommissioned her throughout the rest of the filming, so they had to get a different actress.
Yeah. So, and you can kind of tell in her performance a little bit that
she does okay.
She's definitely not giving a bad performance.
No,
but it seems like she's not.
She was never the greatest actress on the planet.
She's better in a lot of other stuff. It seems like she wasn't getting enough to work with here for a character. It wasn't a fully fleshed out character.
I feel like as the movie progresses, she gets better.
Because her character has more
agency
and like just more of a character. It's before she's kind of just like this like thing. She's kind of doing a Lois Lane thing and kind of doing her own thing. It's the character's not the best written.
No, and I mean, that's also too, she changed in the script from Silver St. Cloud, who was Bruce's love interest in the 70s and the 80s, who I forget, I think she was just like a socialite or something that Bruce knew.
It's just it was basically his beard, almost.
Kinda.
Yeah,
I don't think it's the appropriate term.
Well, I mean, for Batman, that's closest.
Right. I get what
his cover story.
But yeah, I mean, do you want to go into costume design or more behind the scenes stuff?
Let's continue with behind the scenes first.
Okay.
We'll kind of dip our toes into plot and all that kind of
as we go. I mean, I think we've nailed the plot down.
Yeah,
the plot, that was it.
But like, I'm gonna talk kind of like shop now.
Okay.
So this movie is very influential.
Very.
You'll kind of see like how it influenced
the comic
books, the animated series, and the animated series especially. We're gonna do a whole thing on that.
Well,
at some point,
the animated series was originally pitched as a spin-off to Batman Returns.
Yes, and that I think deeply influenced everything Batman. And it basically set the tone for what Batman is to most people.
Yes. For pretty much the rest of Batman's existence, it will be this.
Yeah,
it'll be that cartoon.
That is like the true north for what people think of Batman. Which I mean, they did a fantastic job. Paul Dini and
Bruce Timm.
Yeah, I always forget Bruce Timm's name.
Everyone does.
I think because I'm thinking of Tim Bruce, and I'm like, no, that's a character.
I'm like, who the hell's Tim Bruce?
Yeah.
I'm looking at you like, you're just making up names, sir.
Well, all the. It feels like a fake name. I'm just remembering like Batman characters' names.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
So they wanted a dark film,
Yes.
and they wanted to be comedy because people are expecting a comedy. They don't want this dark, brooding Batman.
You don't want to go too dark
because they're afraid. They're meeting in the middle. This movie, I think, is the best one out of
the four that I forced you to watch.
The four that we watched, because it takes itself serious while still allowing it to be kind of camp and kind of reminiscent of the 60s without going too far.
And now, I'm sorry.
Now, yes, the Joker is eating scenery a little bit.
But that's kind of his job.
But that's the Joker. He it's almost like he knows he's in a comic book most of the time, and
I've always had a theory that the Joker is kind of like Deadpool.
I think sometimes he's written that way. Yes.
Yeah, where he's like, "Oh, I know I'm not real. That's why I'm gonna have a rocket launcher hit me in the face."
It's kind of like a nihilist in like the true sense of it. It's like, well, nothing matters, so fuck it. Let's just have fun.
I'm not real. You're not real. None of this matters.
Fuck it.
It don't matter.
Eat a taco. Shoot a gun.
I just had a picture like of the Joker, like kind of like a Heath Ledger looking Joker with like a machine gun in one hand and a taco in the other, just eating it. Like, I'm not having Taco Bell.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's how do we jump from this? Because,
well, do you mind if I give some tidbits?
Yes.
And information.
Let's talk. You have a lot to say.
Yes.
This is mostly just open therapy for you.
Oh, yes, very much so. I have literally seen this movie a lot since I was a kid.
I would say probably over 100 times.
Ballpark, yeah. I'm amazed that tape on my shelf has not worn out, and that is the original 1989.
I'm surprised it hasn't caught on fire in the
I
VCR.
know, but it was my first experience with Batman. Was that movie, and it was for a lot of people. And so, like you were saying, they didn't want to do the campiness. I think a lot of this comes from Michael Keaton's performance.
Mm-hmm.
He gives a very he doesn't. As Batman, I think he only has 10 or 12 lines.
Yes. He's the first installment of a Batman who Bruce Wayne does most of the talking. Bruce Wayne is
Batman's very quiet.
And Batman speaks when needed.
Right.
He wants the silence to
control him.
Yeah. He
uses the silence as a method of control in this movie.
Yes.
Just real tiny fun fact about Michael Keaton's performance. Did you know that "I'm Batman" was improvised?
No.
The original line in the script was when he was asked, "Who are you?" He was going to say, "I am the Knight," but he thought that was stupid, so he literally said, "I'm Batman." And Tim Burton loved it so much that he just kept it in.
Yeah, well, I mean, it fits.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm Batman," and tosses the guy. But anyway, I was like, "Oh,"
and he's like, "Oh, we can use that for the trailer." Cool.
Yeah, that was a big trailer TV spot thing.
Still is.
Oh yeah, I think every Batman movie has that. I'm Batman.
I mean, nothing
gets the point across better than "I'm Batman."
Yeah, especially when you have 30 seconds to go, "Hey, watch this."
I'm Batman. Okay.
Yeah.
God, it hurts my voice. One thing about Keaton is that, and you'll see this later as you go into the Batman movies with Christian Bale, he altered his voice as Batman.
Yeah, I think he was the first one to.
Yes.
Well,
West kind of did it, but not really.
So the thing is that this is still reminiscent of the Superman and Batmans of before, where there is a definite change in the character between the
Christopher Reeve's Superman was
like Christopher Reeve had this uncanny ability to go. He'd slunch down and he'd make himself smaller and meeker looking, and then the second he had to be Superman, it was like supernatural almost how he would change himself. I think
it's in the first Superman movie you see him do that.
It's like you're seeing Superman
come to life.
Like the only person I've ever seen be able to do this in real life is Marilyn Monroe. She was with a reporter one time, and they were walking down New York Street, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody was fucking giving two shits about anyone. no one was noticing them. They were like leaving them alone. And she's like, "Wow, like, you're the most famous person. No one cares about you." It's like, "Oh, because I'm not Marilyn. Would you like to meet her?" And the reporter's
I'm
like,
sorry, what?
"Yeah." The reporter's like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Okay, here, I'll bring Marilyn out." And all of a sudden, like, it was like this energy, like the reporter's like, I felt like this
Whoa.
like energy change
You have to
in
show me
her.
this.
It's like
There's no footage of it?
no, it's like
Okay.
in the 19 whatevers,
Right.
but like it's just like they're walking down the street and it's like the energy changes and it's like the world just stops and then turns to her. It goes, "Oh my god, it's fucking Marilyn Monroe."
Meanwhile, she was there for like 20 minutes.
And they like suddenly all these people are swarming and trying to get autographs and
So
it's like a real talent.
it is. And with Michael Keaton, I think as Batman, he's very methodical in how he moves. He almost reminds me of Michael Myers. Now, obviously, I don't think Halloween.
Yeah,
Is an influence,
let's kind of get into it a little bit with like this acting a bit.
Mhm.
Like,
predominantly, I want to talk about Keaton.
yeah, let's like Keaton's performance here would influence Batman forever because he like you would see in the comics like Batman's like a ninja,
Right.
whereas
He's very lean. He kind of disappears in the
which
shadows.
when was Halloween?
1978.
1978. Okay, so maybe this was influential because like in Halloween, Myers moves.
Very kind of like, I almost call it gliding.
Yeah, he glides. He's kind of like a apex predator. All
Mhm.
right. A demonic force. All right, and I guess that probably influenced the way how earlier Keaton's performance he does that. He moves like an animal.
Like when he's fighting the two thugs on the rooftop.
Yeah, and like that's how like we introduced him. That he's not this almost homosexual icon that people associated him as some weirdo in tights.
Well, not even that. Like the Adam West Batman moved like a brawler.
Yeah,
He was a strong man.
Yeah.
And West just kind of was just like, I'm Adam West in a bat costume.
Adam West gave more of a circus performance,
Right.
Type thing because it was an acrobat and a strongman. That was the best that they could.
Which Batman kind of was that for a long
Yeah,
time.
in the Silver Age, yeah.
Early Silver
But
Age.
now he is a trained fighting machine. Every movement is with purpose and power.
And meant to intimidate the hell out of you.
So when he glides silently. He comes in like a force of impact.
Mm-hmm.
He sneaks up on these dudes, and he's like what, a 6-foot thing sneaking up on people.
Yeah. In a 100-pound suit.
Like they shoot him, and he falls down flat. It's a pratfall. It's made for laughs, but then he gets up like a demon.
And you're like, damn, dude.
Just like it's like, yeah, I didn't even feel that. And he comes after
like, that all you got?
Like when he comes at villains, he comes at them like a force of nature. Like he moves at them, he moves carefully. He's a brutalist.
Yes.
Like this Batman fights in a brutal style. Now, of course,
he fights to kind of just get it out of the way.
Yes, he fights to get them out of the way. And this will influence later, like as we see in the trailer for the Batman. It seems like he's
savagery.
He's a brutal tactician in this, where he's going to hit you. He's going to hit you hard. He means to hit you that 10 times, and you're drop dead. And then he's quickly moving on.
Like the warehouse scene in BVS.
Yeah, where Batman later comes from like this guy who gets into a fight and he punches every guy one in the room. Where now Batman comes in like a phantom, comes in, and every strike and every movement is quick, and it strikes hard and it strikes fast, and he's moving on to the next guy. And you're getting hit from so many different angles, you don't know what the fuck's going on,
right?
Until you're a pile of dudes on the floor,
and you're just like, the fuck happened?
And that starts here. Now,
more or less, yes.
It comes off campy still.
It comes off campy by today's standards, but I think.
Then again, the way that we cut things, the way we choreograph things today is much different than the 80s. Like 80s, we were doing like gunfights more than fist fights.
Right. And I mean, our
Unless
only frame of reference is Adam West and Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, like they're not gonna film this like a Jackie Chan movie.
No, God, no, not in that suit.
Especially since Michael Keaton's best fighting moves are basically he's like a bar fighter type actor rather
it's
than
not Keaton in the suit when he's fighting.
No, it's
there were
several
there were it's not even just stuntmen. There was, I think, 2 ballerinas that were in the suit when they were moving, like for the chase and like Axis chemicals, and a bodybuilder and, like you said, a stuntman.
Yeah. And this was all have to be done because the
suit was roughly 80 pounds.
The suits were foam rubber and PCP, and they were hard to move in.
Yeah.
So
not PCP, PVC.
PVC. Sorry. Oh, shit.
Yeah, made drugs. Batman, Michael Keaton's performance was drug induced.
Well,
that's why he can't remember the movie.
And then,
so speaking of the suit, here's how uncomfortable Keaton was in it.
Uh-huh.
He couldn't see or hear at all.
Yeah.
But he said that helped him because that helped him get the idea of how lonely this guy is.
Yeah.
How isolated he is.
So now we have the complete opposite. Like, Keaton's moving in the shadows, and he's only appearing when he needs to be appeared.
I think Batman only has
and he's
30, 40 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, and it's like he's only showing up when. Meanwhile, the Joker takes over the show.
Oh yeah.
All right. This is where we first get the idea of like, well, the villain's kind of like the now. In more modern superhero stuff,
it's kind of equal.
It's equal. Sometimes it's even more like in Marvel. Marvel, it's all about the heroes. Who gives a fuck about the villain?
Until you see Spider-Man, but
yeah.
You're right. I mean, I remember the only villains that ever stood out to me were the villains in No Way Home, Loki, and
Thanos. I mean, there's always the one, Whereas in DC, especially with Batman, it's Batman's kind of like
secondary, and the villains are more interesting.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows depending on
a lot of them are reflections of him in some way.
Yeah, it depends on what we're doing in the story or the plot, and you like this really does shine in '89, because you get Jack Nicholson's performance here,
which he was told to literally just go all out and don't hold back. And he was like, okay.
Jack Nicholson, he's kind of the first one to do this, and it makes sense for his character particularly, is that he's very flamboyant, he's very loud and boisterous, he's got the spotlight firmly on him in this movie.
He's also terrifying.
Yeah, he's both terrifying.
He talks to corpses.
Yeah, he's both terrifying without being too terrifying, and funny without being ha funny,
like Gene Hackman was and General Zod and all that.
Yeah. So he's writing that perfect line of like intimidating and like wacky, while chewing the scenery, but like doing it on purpose.
I think a great scene that shows this is when he's meeting with the mob, because he's kind of Jack Nicholson in like some of the mob movies or police movies he was in most of the scene, and then he kills the guy with the joy buzzer, and then he starts talking to him as if he's still talking to him, and it's almost kind of like you don't think about it as a kid, but as an adult, you're like, he's talking to a corpse. That dude is dead.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder. It kind of gives you an insight a little bit as to how broken-minded the Joker is. He's not even just crazy. His mind is broken. He doesn't seem to grasp death as like a big deal. Another example would be he kills all his people and in the museum, and he dances over there. He literally dances on their corpses.
Yeah, because he doesn't give a fuck. It's all fun and games to him now, which really helped to bring together what Joker would later become. Now, these characters are a bit more Joker especially is Joker. No, Batman villains are way more malleable than Batman. Batman and Robin always have to hit certain points in style of mental thought and action and ability. Now, yeah, they can be more cartoony when they're hanging out with Scooby Doo, or they can be more, insane when it's like a Frank Miller,
Yeah, I was gonna
you
say when
know,
it's like Frank Miller just
yeah.
drunk as shit or
But
high as
there's
shit.
there's always like this center line that they can
Robin's
go
usually the
to.
lighter version of Batman.
Yeah, there's always a center line. Whereas you can have Jack Nicholson's Joker, you can have
Heath
Heath
Ledger's.
Ledger's, Jared Leto's.
Do we even count Jared Leto?
Yes, we do because it's better than you think, and
Is it really?
we'll explain why later.
No, it's not. Shut up and leave.
No,
This is my show now.
we'll explain.
You are insane. I've driven you insane.
Stop that.
Sorry.
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
We will explain it later.
Okay.
It's not that bad of a performance. It's just really poorly written.
Yeah, that's fair. We talking about Suicide Squad or Justice League?
Both of them. It's he was giving this performance of a crazy, fame-hungry gangster.
Okay,
All right.
I see that.
So like, but it doesn't shine through because everyone's like, haha, the
Yeah.
tattoos. But like,
If they
can
got rid of them, he would have been better.
yeah, well, yeah, they went over the top with it. But like, think about it: a modern real life Joker is the dude who's trolling Twitter
Ugh.
because he wants the attention because he can get away with like, fuck
I
it,
get what you mean.
yeah.
And then of course Joaquin Phoenix is deranged.
More grounded, like
Stalker.
like stalker person, like like these characters you can play around with them a lot more.
Yeah.
But I think Jack Nicholson's kind of brings into focus. It's a turning point where we find that we can take this guy who's a clown. Instead of him being a full clown, he's a gangster in clown makeup.
Right.
And so that kind of turns the point where like he's more of a criminal clown than a clown criminal.
Because the only time he was ever in the comics like that
Yeah.
was in the 50s when he was the Red Hood. And even then, it's just like, oh, okay, you were just another supervillain who fell into a tank of chemicals and came out as another supervillain.
Yeah.
Before that, like in Brian Bolland's, and what's the other guy? Alan Moore. I totally blanked on his name. They made him more of like he was a guy who was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, hanging out with the wrong people.
Yeah, it's malleable. It's very you can sculpt it however you want. In this movie, I think this was a starting point, and you can really see how this would later because like if you look at this movie and then you look at BTOS and then you look at the later if you just look at this one, the animated series, and then all the comics and everything that came after this one in particular, you'll see the way it's shot is shot like a modern noir. It's a crime noir detective movie in color.
Right.
All right.
Oh, it's very much so how Gotham is set up. And all that.
At night, everything shot at the night scenes are noir. It's dark shadows, bright spotlights,
fedoras, overcoats,
dark alleyways.
Tommy guns. Were there Tommy guns in this movie?
No Tommy gun. Well, maybe. But definitely revolvers.
Oh yeah.
No one's using a Glock.
Well, except for Bob. Bob had a Glock.
Yeah, okay, but most of the time it's a revolver because a revolver is more iconic of 50s. Everyone was more likely to have a peacemaker than like a Glock.
Right, because this movie, the only thing that kind of dates it is Prince.
Yeah, this kind of really helps establish like the questionable time era that Batman's in. Batman's perpetually modern in like 50s 40s. Like if you look at the scenery of this film, let's go into the scenery.
Sure,
Okay.
like those sets and all that.
Yeah, these are beautiful sets and really adds life.
They were designed by Anton First, and I'm looking up the other gentleman's name real quick. Which actually this movie won, and Nigel Phelps.
Yes.
Who did a lot of the work, and Anton was kind of his director. Anton sadly passed away in between the production of 89 and Returns. That's why Gotham looks kind of different in Returns.
And it'll suffer immensely because this one, if you look at all the scenery, it really captures the Art Deco and modernness of it.
So You want to know where they got the ideas from?
Sure.
So Anton First was a big fan, and Nigel Phelps. They were big fans of, believe it or not, a lot of Japanese architecture.
Yes.
There's a lot of buildings in Japan that they saw and were like, "Wow!" It's in England, and finally they looked at the city of New York and they were like, "What if the New York Planning Commission either never existed or just kept building on top of it?" Like their idea for the Batcave.
Mhm.
The Batcave never had chasms before in the comics or anything like that.
Mhm.
They wanted to get this idea that he found it and he just put like, a computer in there. And he actually Anton had trouble designing the Batcave. So
Mhm.
he's like, how do you design a rock? It's a cave. Like, what do you do? So he kind of came up with this idea of, you know how like the Batmobile is on like the edge?
Yeah.
They wanted to show like Batman's always on the edge.
Mhm.
Which you kind of get the sense of like it's a very dark, it's a very deep, it's a very lonely place, and it's my favorite Batcave because it's like it's so sad a
Yeah.
little bit. It's almost like representative of where he's at as a person.
Yeah. Um, you like the set design and the costume design. I mean the costume design works because it goes hand in hand. They're
Mhm.
everything is the 40s and 50s.
Except for the Batsuit.
Like style. And then the bat suit's more of a modern militaristic design.
So
But it's modern and retro.
it's retro in terms of its overall shape.
Yeah, and modern in a lot of its approach. Like
Right.
you'll have modern skyscrapers that go up in nice square shapes,
Mhm.
but they'll be complemented with Art Deco and
German expressionism.
German expressionism. Yes, thank you. I could not
It's okay.
think of the word.
So this Gotham actually won an Oscar.
Yes.
Anton First won an Oscar for it, and he very well deserved because
Mhm.
a lot of this. I mean, a lot of people. You're gonna see if you ever do research on this movie
Mhm.
that he was inspired by the movie Metropolis.
Mhm.
He said even though he was a fan of the movie, he had not purposefully watched it or anything to get an idea.
Now,
It's just coincidence.
which Metropolis?
The one from the 20s.
Okay,
It was
so
like the one that like had like the robot that looked like C-3PO.
yes. So there's several
Metropolis.
yeah.
Metropolis.
There's like the beautiful anime that wouldn't come out for another couple years.
So yeah, he didn't see. There's no way he saw that.
Yeah, but there might have been like a manga. He might have like
No.
read it in Japan. I don't know.
Well, it's possible, but
Yeah.
so and they also too they took inspiration from the comic books, but the problem was the comic books. So the map you see in Gotham
Mhm.
was created in the comics earlier.
Mhm.
I forget who created it. It might have been Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil who came up with it. That map would later be used in the comics for No Man's Land and Nightfall.
Yeah.
And No Man's Land was a story arc in the 90s where Gotham has an earthquake, so it gave DC an excuse to rebuild Gotham to look like the 89 Gotham.
Yeah, and like all of this design, everything that you see here, it's all complemented by these backdrop paintings that really make it feel like a comic book in
Right.
like 50s style. Like it makes you like everything kind of works.
It feels like it's a place that could exist, but you don't want to be there.
Yeah, and it makes it feel like it's stuck in this like even the way they filmed it with the 50s, like they used paintings, backdrop paintings, which kind of were going away in favor of more CGI.
Right.
Um
There
the-
is some CGI in this movie.
yes, I mean there has to be computer
There's only
generation.
2 instances that I counted.
And that really helps this with the look because Batman, like modern Batman, kind of loses a lot of its style.
I was going to say, I'm sorry.
And we'll kind of talk that because like this one has that Batman feel and style
Mhm.
of the 50s of like this impossible time. Whereas when you look further into like the Nolan and onwards, it's
It's just Detroit.
it's
and
just
Chicago.
it's just Detroit, New York. You'll see shots of like Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago.
It takes
New
me out of the
York.
movies. I'm like, dude, he's just in like, which I get. You
Like,
want to make it
you're
look
just-
realistic.
You're
but,
just in a
like,
city, you know.
it's like,
It's
wow.
not Gotham.
Yeah,
It's
it's not Gotham City.
now it does work a lot of times. They do make it work, but it doesn't have the same aesthetic that you're used to of
Could have
like
thrown in like one or two German-looking buildings. Just saying.
yeah, you throwing a German, just throwing a fucking blimp in the air. That's
Fuck it, why
that's
not?
that's
Like,
what
you
they're
don't have to
missing
explain it.
is that the fucking the blimps,
Zeppelins and all
the
that.
Zeppelins. You have to have the Zeppelins. That's what makes Gotham like
I don't think there was one in the '89 movie, was there?
no.
Or Returns.
But
Or I don't think there was
there,
one in any
there's
of
a lot
these.
of floating stuff in the air. Like
Well,
a
I
lot,
mean,
a
there
lot
was
of
the Joker's balloons.
no, there's a lot of parade
My
balloons and stuff
balloons.
in all of them, and that kind of like everything's filled with like something, you know, like the skyline's filled with stuff.
Well, the skyline also too has like ridiculously tall buildings.
Yeah, and this is all complemented perfectly. Like the lights and the shadows and all that are all complement perfectly with this color palette of like
Grays.
grays,
So
blues, magentas,
we watched the
um,
remastered version, which has a bluish tint.
which I think improves it. Looking at the
Yeah.
original versus this, it definitely makes everything more pop because it gives it more comic blue.
I guess I don't know. It took me out of it a little bit. But,
It gives it a colder look.
yeah, it definitely looks colder.
and
Like
it-
I felt cold watching it, but it was also cold last night. So.
yeah, it's like
It's like 0 degrees
yeah,
outside. Just
it-
fuck you, Mr. Freeze.
yeah, which I think that all like really benefit. Like the remaster, does some it. The remasters we watched had some audio issues more than
Yeah.
anything.
But I actually heard like lines that like I hadn't heard before.
yeah, but like the talking's a little bit too low at points. Explosions are a little too loud.
The Axis Chemicals explosion was way too quiet.
Yeah,
I
like,
remember that being loud.
it seems like the audio mix is off, but like the colors look amazing, especially on my TV. The blues were great because the blue light
Mhm.
helps us authenticate that it's a black suited Batman. He's
Yes.
the darkest thing, right? He's the darkest creature.
The only color on him is that yellow.
Yeah, and it's like this perfect like magenta yellow or
No, it was about as yellow as that.
yeah, it's
I was pointing. Sorry, I
mean,
was pointing to a figure I have on our desk.
no. So look at your disc.
That's not the color in the movie.
All right,
It was literally yellow.
that is the color you're seeing everywhere. It's this golden.
Nope, I saw yellow.
This golden yellow is like everywhere in this film. Like it's accenting like walls
Oh
and
yeah, I
desks,
guess it is.
and then the greens and the purples.
Like when they're at the Gotham Gazette place.
yeah, like all the color palette of this like really is what Batman is in a lot of like aspects. Like this color palette will stay with the franchise and pop up
Until we get to Schumacher.
and it's even yeah, the Schumacher ones it goes away for a while, but like that core concept stays with Batman franchise forever.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it all the time.
So since
Yeah.
we talked about since we're talking about the bat suit,
Yeah.
in terms of like the bat suits you've seen and throughout the years and all that, where do you rank this one?
This one's pretty iconic. It's a good in between the armor. I
That
mean,
we would get in like literally every other movie.
which is like the armor makes sense, but then it's
There are some armors that are just too busy for me, like the Dark Knight.
yeah, I really like those ones, and they make sense for most of them make sense for what that particular Batman's dealing with in terms of like
Right.
power.
I mean, it's certainly better than the
like
whatever the hell he
you-
was wearing in
like you-
Mr. Freeze.
like you can't have what Batman is your little desk buddy here?
Just a comic book one.
Okay,
I
so
threw
like
together.
that one's more of a cloth with armored like spots.
Right, like his gauntlets are armored. His
he's
cowl
got-
is armored.
He's got an armored cowl, he's got armored hands, and he's got armored boots, and the rest is cloth. That type of Batman cannot take an army of
I'd be terrified if that type of Batman ran at me.
like that one. That one's patrolling. That's a street level Batman.
Okay.
That's a street level Batman fighting guys with revolvers.
Like, yeah, like my idea is like he's a timeless Batman.
Yeah, that one's not going after dudes with like
The Arkham Knight or
like super guns and whatever, like
Doomsday
in
or some shit.
Yeah. Whereas this one fits because this one's fighting mobsters with AKs who have bombs.
And you know,
Like it's an armored plated, like it's a Kevlar suit almost. It's not Kevlar cloth, and it's not.
actually, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yep.
So there was a deleted part of the script where
Mhm.
Vicky Vale sees the bat suit and she's asking him what it's made of.
Uh-huh.
He goes, "There's no name for it."
Oh,
So
yeah, it's
theoretically, it was never Kevlar.
yeah, it's a super
Like,
polymer.
yeah, but back then, they just didn't know what
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean it's a
called.
rubber suit, but co- back
With
then,
Nikes.
yeah. Well, so you can't like everything that they're imagining this like nowadays. The materials for comics, like in like Spider-Man, even like look at Spider-Man's various suits he has in the latest movie.
Right.
That has a nanotech armor. It's a homemade costume at one point. It's some sort of synthetic.
They
Um,
never do say what his like Stark suits are, do they?
one of them's nanotech. One of
And the
them's
other
some
one
sort
is
of
just
like nano, like some sort of like super fiber
yeah,
that's got like electronics in it.
it was like
Okay,
super flexible.
yeah, and like so it's like some sort of super space age spandex that they're all wearing. Everyone in the Marvel universe has some super spandex. Like it's like you can get it at
Except for like Iron Man.
like literally like in the Hawkeye show. It's like, hey, here's money for the Michaels brand super super spandex that everyone's using for cosplay. You can make like our suits out of it, and
Cool.
it just works.
Like whereas like if you look at the '89 suit compared to like the Batman vs Superman suit,
it's different takes and
yeah,
it's different. Like we have like cinema's changed.
oh,
Like
of course.
we're dealing with like
Even though-
materials that people understood about like since 89 like velcro and shit's been developed. Spandex has been
Velcro's around in like the '89.
yeah, velcro and velcro and spandex
And also too,
and
like Ben Affleck's Batman was the first one who could have a cowl and turn his head, whereas Christian Bale's Batman
yeah
was the first one who could just turn his head because it was a separate piece.
yeah
Michael Keaton famously cannot turn his head in his suit.
yeah because they everyone like all these movies are dealing with what like we had available at that time. Like remember like you could not 3D fucking print shit
No.
back then. You could barely enter into a computer and like figure out how to make a 3D model of like how to design this thing. Like people were working in the dark here.
And the
Um,
cape, one thing I do like about the suit
Mhm.
is the neck piece, like of the lower half of the cowl going into the cape.
Yeah.
Like you don't know where the mask stops and the cape begins.
Yeah, it's a very good idea, and like that style of Batman would later influence the more armored Batmans that we
Correct.
see later.
Like
So
hell, in the next movie, he's literally wearing an armored version.
yeah,
Of that.
and those would topple onto themselves until we figure like, okay, let's just make it like an Iron Man suit, like which is
So
fine, you know.
so where would you rank this suit? Top three,
this
top five?
this is a top 10 for me.
Really? Okay.
It's somewhere in the top 10s. Depending on suits. I'm not a big suit guy like you're a big suit guy, you know.
So like I'm a big suit guy. For any superhero movie, it's not even just like Batman. It's just like Superman.
In another world,
Spider-Man.
you'd be a costume designer.
Yeah. I. It's funny because when I was just a couple years ago, when I was a teenager,
Mhm.
and a much younger Brian.
Yeah, when you were a little babby Brian in the short pants.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But anyway, it was my favorite Batsuit. But as I've gotten older and
Mhm.
I've seen, I don't hate it.
Mhm.
I really don't hate it.
Mhm.
But there are issues I have with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see where like
The seam lines are.
well, that's because we're watching it
in HD, where it was
we're-
never meant to be seen that way.
yeah, like I mean, when you're watching it in theaters,
you don't see it,
are
trust me.
you are getting like a true film. Remember, this is 89, so it's all film.
Right.
All right, so you're watching it on 35 millimeter. All right, you could probably tell, but with the way everything's projected, that screen, you're not going to notice those fine details, and you're not going to be able to pause and look at it.
No. Like when I saw it in theaters around 2018, 2019, it looked otherworldly. Like it was like I had never seen it before.
Yeah,
It was so weird. Like I've seen a suit 1,000 times.
well, you'd seen it on a shitty 480p VHS.
And hell, like in a video game like Arkham Knight, like in Arkham Knight,
Yeah.
it looks better
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
I wonder what it would look like in the Flash. 'Cause that Batman's coming back,
That's. I mean, they're going to have to make it out of completely different materials,
or just use a different suit.
I'm sure they're going to be like, oh yeah, that
Keaton, you can finally see.
like, yeah, I'm sure if we put him in that, his skin would have cancer tomorrow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, from what I've gathered, none of the suits are really
They've
survived.
No, they've all deteriorated. There
are some in private possessions who have been restored, but
I mean,
the suits ripped throughout the production.
Yeah, those are not the very they're meant to be disposable. Like back then, we made everything disposable.
Right. So there are like cosplayers I do follow who collect the actual props and all that, and they said that the 89 suit is self. Now the mask has survived. The mask was easier to deal with.
Yeah.
But the suit itself, like the bodysuit, pretty much gone.
Yeah. So all these costumes really work. Everyone is dressed like fittingly,
Well, especially the Joker.
Like the Joker is an old-timey gangster.
I love his plaid, checkered pants at the end.
Like the costumes, everyone's like in a trench coat and a top hat. His goons are wearing like dope bomber jackets from the 50s.
Right, and actually the funniest thing about that is the artwork on his sleeve with the Joker cards. It's actually Brian Bolland's artwork from promotional stuff from The Killing Joke.
Yeah,
I forget where the other one with the Joker's face. I've seen that before in the comics. It's definitely from the Silver Age.
When I first opened up the box for you for Christmas, and I looked at it and went, "Oh, I got ripped the fuck off."
And then you watch the movie,
and then I watched the movie. I'm like, "Oh no, this is accurate as fuck."
I just don't think they were purple. Were they?
They were purple.
Okay.
They might not look purple as this in because remember everything.
Right. I mean, everything's dark, so it's like
and it's the film itself.
And I love their shades.
All been color coded.
Yeah.
Like remember, every film you watch isn't how it actually looked on set. Everything's been manipulated to have a certain tone. So you always have to remember that watching a film.
Do you have? So what if they took the base suit, right, of the Batman suit, but they used the blue and the gray? Would it look any better? Or
I think it would look worse.
Because when I was a kid, I had an action figure that was, and it was actually really cool, and I thought it looked interesting. It was a grapple gun Batman, but it was a Batman that wasn't the crazy color code ones like Rainbow Batman or Yellow Batman.
Yeah,
it was the 89 suit, but in blue and gray.
Now, and you have to always remember, one of the big factors for all these, through all these movies, all of them until maybe the Nolan ones, everyone is dressed the way they are because Warner Brothers is thinking about merchandise first.
Oh yes,
it's all merch. That's why if you go, why does this person look so goofy? It's because
we'll definitely go into that with Forever.
That's the toy design, and we're not changing it.
Yeah, so we'll go in that with Forever and Batman Robin, because the toy designs came first rather than the actual costumes. Now I forget who designed. I believe it was Bob Ringwood who designed it. He's designed numerous superhero costumes since, but this was his first one. And for your first one, it's solid. One thing I liked was the mask. It's kind of lost in the return suit. The mask has this kind of like a brow sort of thing where it's almost reminiscent of Michael Myers, where his mask is emotionless. There's no emotion on the eyebrows, where it allows Keaton to kind of play with the eyes of oh, I'm going to kill you. Great example is when he's in the cathedral at the end, and he just has that stare at the Joker as he's walking towards the Joker. You see what I'm talking about? That brow there? Yeah. It looks amazing. Now, you mentioned briefly the Joker's outfits. Yep. What do you think of his overall design with the fixed grin?
So the grin's a little bit too much, but
I have an explanation as to why.
I understand because it's got to be prosthetics. They probably
it is.
They probably want it more of a of a like a lesser something lesser, but it just wasn't showing up on test
No,
footage.
there's an explanation.
Yep.
Jack Nicholson is allergic to what was at the time the main ingredient in makeup. So
Mhm.
so I think technically he's wearing a mask.
Yes. It's very much a prosthetic thing he's putting over his face, and then they're hiding it with paint.
Right.
It seems like he's more painted than makeup to you.
Right. It actually kind of gives like the bleached look better. One thing I was always impressed by
Mhm.
is when the water hits his face and he goes, "Oh, I'm melting,"
Mhm.
and there's like the white.
You can see like his
His
skin, quote
yeah,
unquote,
it was
coming out.
impressive as to how they did it. I
So
think they had like a layer, and then they had a easier meltable layer, and so when Kim throws the water at him,
uh
it like he hit. That's why he's covering his face for so long, so that way it goes down correctly.
oh yeah, that's yeah.
It was very impressive for
Yeah,
the
I mean,
time.
so the way like this movie's filmed, because I'm gonna talk more about the Schumacher ways.
Oh, I can't wait.
Everything's filmed classically.
Where you kind of lose that in returns.
Yeah, establishing shots, everything that you see is meant to convey um the
The Bill
inform
Finger era
like
of
yeah,
Batman.
it's comic booky without being over the top. There's no zooms, there's no like weird angles or anything. Everything's kind of very straightly filmed.
Which I think kind of helped give the movie some credence and
Yeah.
like, hey, we're taking
Whereas
this seriously.
in the next film by Burton,
Oh, I can't wait.
things are still shot really well.
But
Um,
things change.
but they're playing around a bit more in the next one with angles and stuff to kind of show a bit more of unhingedness with characters.
Yeah,
Um,
especially with like, well, we'll get into it with
upping the
returns.
dramatic, but this one's all shot where like they're playing around with smokes and they're playing around with color, and it's never too much in this one.
And I think one thing we're neglecting is the amazing theme by Danny Elfman.
Yes, that was kind of like the last thing I wanted to touch on is that the score here was done by Elfman. Now Elfman was brought on because Burton
Yes, he was a. But
Burton
actually,
the little known fact is that Burton and Elfman are actually surgically attached by the hip. It was a fucked up car accident, and this is how they live.
yeah. So
Um,
originally, Warner Bros. Turned down Danny Elfman,
and
but
then
then Danny
Burton,
Elfman came in with the da-na-na-na theme,
yeah,
and they're like, "Holy shit, that's what you're thinking is the theme?" He's like, "Yeah,
yeah.
all right,
So
Oingo Boingo, get in."
so basically, at this point, Burton still hadn't like got credit. He was still the dude from Oingo Boingo. All
Yeah.
right, people don't know what the fuck Oingo Boingo is anymore.
Nobody
But
does.
in the '80s, he was on a lot of these soundtracks.
He had done, I think he had just done The Simpsons.
Yeah. So that's the thing is that Elfman. Well, okay, let's see now. In '89, The Simpsons.
88.
What? So yeah. So Simpsons was '89. This was '89. So
He probably
yeah,
recorded them around the same time.
yeah. That you can really tell the and the you
Um,
know. Basically, Elfman's style of horns and bigger than life scoring and like the rapidness, the
especially with the Joker's
you know,
theme
um,
of just being like a circus theme.
yeah. Not only is it iconic to this movie and to Elfman's style of orchestral building. This will be the defining sound of Batman.
Still is.
It's like it carried on to the BTOS, which cemented it, and like even in Nolan's like Nolan loves his whoop whoops whoops in his
Yeah.
he loves the horns, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna accompany that. Like even to the Justice League.
The Joss Whedon cut had the Danny Elfman thing.
I think it's in there somewhere. Like
It's so the Joss Whedon cut had it, but not the Zack Snyder cut.
but it's still influential into
Oh, of
it.
course.
Like like, and especially like the Arkham video games
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
we hear it all the time in Arkham.
Which remind me to fucking turn that off. We keep getting striked because of that.
Oopsies.
It's always like 5 seconds of it. I'm like, come on, that was a random French horn. What do you mean you knew it?
Nope. Okay,
Yeah.
fuck you too, Warner Brothers.
Like, Warner
Sorry,
Brothers-
please sponsor us,
It was
Daddy Warner
5
Brothers.
seconds. Come on now.
Warner Brothers, if you promise not to sue us, we'll I don't know what we'll do.
We'll do something nice.
We'll do something nice. We'll send you a gift basket.
Yeah, nice fruit basket.
With Christmas meat.
Yeah.
And also too, you would hear more of the Batman theme in his Spider-Man theme as well.
Which Spider-Man does he?
The Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Oh, right.
Except for the third one. He didn't do the
So
third
I mean,
one.
like, basically, this cemented him as like the superhero guy, and like, basically, this is what made between this and The Simpsons. This is what like was his launching point, really.
Yes, this really kind of put Elfman out there.
Like, he was on the map, but this made him like a capital
Like, oh,
city.
you did the Batman theme?
Like he was on the map, but now he's a capital city on that map. You know, he's got the star and the circle on his name.
So, of all the themes you've heard,
yeah.
where would you rank his theme?
Oh, this is number one.
Same
Like
here.
the Batman theme is number. Like there is like the thing is like you think of the Superman one.
John Williams theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now think of the Indiana Jones theme.
Oh no, they're the same thing.
It's the same. It's like you
They're
can't.
virtually the same thing.
Yeah, like you think more Indiana Jones than Superman. Now the Superman one is still like once you hear it, you go, yeah, that's Superman. But you go, what am I?
Which one am I hearing?
You can't. You don't remember it until you see something. You go, oh, it's the Superman. But if you hear the there you go, that's Batman.
Yep. To me, it's the golden standard
Yeah,
for the Batman.
I mean,
theme.
it fits the tone perfectly because it mashes like the late 1900s, mid to late 1900s. You know,
Mhm.
with a modern threatening to like it's a
Right.
like it perfectly encompasses the style of Batman.
Especially this Batman. Now, what about the Batmobile?
This Batmobile, I mean, it's good. It plays off of what we expect the Batman to be in modern times.
Do you want to know a hilarious fun fact?
Sure.
So, the Batmobile was originally going to be designed by Ford,
Mhm.
and they wanted like just their car. And John Peters, who mind you is insane,
Yep.
he paid them $6 million to fuck off
What?
because their ideas were so stupid. He's like,
Batman needs to drive a Ford truck. No.
no, you know what? Here,
Give him a Dodge Charger. No.
no,
What?
stop talking. just stop.
Give him a Mustang. No.
Stop. No, here's a check. Go away. And that was a check from like Warner Bros. And even Warner
Honestly,
Bros. Was like,
So I mean, like
Yeah.
honestly, I could see like
it was a drivable car.
I-
It went
I-
out to 60.
I could see Robin driving like a Mustang, you know, like a Tim Drake Robin.
Yeah, or Jason Todd.
I could see them driving like a souped out like Dodge, not a
Dodge, a Ford Camry or whatever.
yeah, like a Camry or
Toyota Camry, sorry.
or like I could see them driving like a
We're
like,
not car guys.
like a Mustang. Like with the Dodge Charger and the Mustang, I always get mixed up for some reason.
Well, I mean, the Batman, the new one has like a regular looking car.
So that's also something that is reminiscent of older Batmans. Is that
Comics, yeah.
a lot of times it was just like a nice car,
A lot of times it was like a muscle car sort of deal that he had souped out on the inside.
and then more recently, in like the Batman verse, Batman's got two types. He's got two Batmobiles. He's got the tank, and then he's got the car that just looks like a regular car that can like he hits a button and it's a Batmobile.
And then you could drive up a fucking wall.
Yeah, like which is fun because it's like the stealth
I can't
approach.
wait for you to talk about that.
It's a stealth approach. So for this one, it's more of an iconic Batmobile.
Yeah, it's very iconic.
It's what you think of when you think of a Batmobile. It's not a big tank. And it's not a normal
it's an
car.
Intimidating looking car. Now I don't know what that thing in the center is. Like, is it like a thruster?
Oh, that's like a super engine thing. Yeah, it's a
I
thruster.
guess so. I
And
when I was a
it's
kid.
probably he's got like missiles and stuff, and it's
Um,
like again, and this design was to sell a toy.
yeah, you
And
should have seen some of the earlier designs for it.
like
It was interesting.
all of the designs are kind of iconic, and they helped really influence other stuff. And yeah, it's to sell toys, but like it works because like yeah, he doesn't have a normal car. He's got a supercar that's more than a James Spy. It's not quite a spy car, and it's not a tank. It's kind of like a hybrid.
My favorite line is he says, "Get in the car," and Vicky Vale asks him which one, and it's like right there, and it's like,
Well,
what?
you don't.
Which one do you fucking
She's
think?
like, well, she's not even seeing it because it's like it's just like it's invisible almost, you know.
I guess.
And he's like, she's like, oh, what this Prius? Oh, wait, where's?
Batman's like, you know what? Yeah, get in the Prius and go.
It's like no,
just souped out
it's like
thing.
She looks over, is like because like, it doesn't even look like a car to people. It's like
no, it's like some otherworldly thing.
it's like a spaceship almost.
Kind of, yeah.
Which this is a much better design than
The Schumacher mobiles.
yeah, I don't
What about
particularly.
the Tumbler?
The Tumbler is a different take. It's a little bit too much, but I get it.
We'll go over the Tumbler and the Schumacher
Like
mobiles.
the Tumbler seems like, well, I mean, like bad guys just have tanks now, so I have to have a tank too.
But I do like how, aside from the Tumbler, this is the only. Well, I guess the Tumbler and the BVS Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only Batmobile that has been in 2 movies.
Yeah,
It was in this and Returns,
Yeah.
and the Batmobile could actually be driven.
Mhm.
It was drivable up to, they said, about 60 to 70 before it started shaking. And
yeah.
it just didn't
Well,
feel
I mean,
safe.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Um,
a lot of cars. Like you get my car, we go 70, it'll start to shake.
So the funniest thing is Tim Burton's not a car guy, obviously.
Oh yeah, no.
So but he wasn't sure like how he could really show it off. So the whole scene of them driving through the forest,
Uh-huh.
that was just like, hey, we have this really cool car. We
Mhm.
have this like road.
Mhm.
Why don't we just do that?
And this design of the Batmobile, it's very reminiscent of like some of the more prototype cars of like back in the day. Like if
Or the
you,
car of tomorrow.
like if you look at some of those cars of the tomorrow from like the 40s and stuff, you'll see some Batmobile looking things.
Yeah.
They're all sharp
that was
angled.
their hell. Like the Adam West Batmobile was a car of tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
literally what it was.
Actually, in later films, I think Batman Forever.
You're thinking of Mass and the Phantasm.
No, and Forever. If you go, there's a scene where they're in a garage and he's looking at all these like old cars.
Oh
and,
yeah,
and a lot of them are old
like
old
yeah.
Batmobiles. From
Yeah.
like
They're not even old Batmobiles. They're just old cars.
they're old cars that like were all at one point envisioned as Batmobiles. A few of them.
Anything else you want to add?
No.
I think I mean I could add some more behind the scenes stuff about like Robin.
Sure. Let's talk about Robin.
All right, so Robin was in almost every draft, every treatment of the script from Steve Englehart to Sam Hamm. The thing was, Warner Brothers kind of didn't want him.
Yeah.
Here's why. It wasn't because of the 60s. It was because the public perception of Robin was not very high. And it wasn't because, again, of the 60s. The average person
Mhm.
wouldn't know that Dick Grayson wasn't Robin anymore.
Mhm.
So when they see Robin being a dick in the comics, no pun intended,
Uh-huh.
to Batman, which was the Jason Todd Robin,
Uh-huh.
like, well, fuck you, kid. Why? No. So they killed him
Yeah.
in the comics. It was really famous, the death of Robin.
Yeah, the call in to have him die quicker. Fiasco.
Call in and have him die quicker. We're still going to kill him either way. That's what I've always believed. I think they were always going to kill him, and they just did it as a marketing stunt.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they basically like
So-
vote to see if he lives or dies, and of course he dropped like a fly.
yeah, with the help of a crowbar.
It was like the amount of like kill hymns was like
it was so high.
yeah.
Um,
It was the reverse of Save Carmine from Gears of War.
yeah, it was pretty crazy. So Robin once like I think there was basically a discussion with Tim Burton, Sam Hamm, and John Peters about should there be a Robin, and Tim was like, you know what, let's cut out Robin. Robin was in the script. Robin was going to appear, I think, like right before the parade when Batman's chasing the Joker, and Batman realizes that Jack Napier is the Joker, which I like the way the movie handled it better.
every time Batman figures out who the Joker is, it's always like stupid.
Yeah, I thought the way 89 did it was pretty good.
Like the one from, I think it was BTOS, where he just takes a marker.
Yeah, it was Master of Phantasm.
And he just puts like a red lipstick on some
And he
guy's
goes,
face
"Oh,
and goes, "Oh,
oh
no."
no.
It's like, wow, world's greatest detective. Slow clap, slow clap.
Well, what gave it away? The pointy chin or the pointy nose?
Yeah, man.
Or his lanky appearance, Bruce.
Yeah.
Jesus. I always thought that was stupid. But
Yeah.
whatever. Master of Phantasm was a masterpiece.
We'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, because we're only talking about live action. But
Yeah.
Anyway. Robin was... It was like a circus or something that the Joker cuts through. He kills his parents because the Joker just likes to kill people.
Yeah.
Robin's like, I will avenge them. And Batman's like, not right now, you're not. I have to avenge my parents first. I think this was when they weren't sure if Jack Napier was going to be the murderer or not of Bruce's parents.
That seems like it came in at the end because they're like, well, we need something to really ramp this up.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Now that I think about it, it was like they wanted... Warner Bros. Was like, well, we got to find a way to make it really personal between Batman and the Joker.
So, yeah, I mean, like, so Robin gets cut.
And it's really just down to Batman and Joker, which is fine.
So, this is a movie where it helps introduce what the comics were starting to do, and gives us, like, this idea of, like, Batman isn't just some
dude in tights.
It's there's this psychology. He's dealing with trauma. He's dealing with personal issues. It's revenge without murder. It's
until he kills the Joker.
Yeah, well, again,
did he kill the Joker? Would you say that like the Joker killed himself?
It's 50-50.
Did you notice that the Joker swore?
Oh yeah,
he says shit.
Yeah, well, you're allowed to have one.
Remember,
in the 80s, you could swear a lot more.
The Penguin does too.
You could
That's
swear.
His last word.
You could swear a lot more in PG-13.
You
could have hardcore nudity
back then
in PG-13 back then.
I just like how the Penguin and the Joker's last words were shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else are they gonna say? Oh,
shit.
Fudge! Oh, goofballs! No, I'm dying. No,
I would have loved if the Joker just said that.
It's just like he
oh,
falls.
gee
And
willikers!
They just bleep out whatever he's saying because they can't say it.
So Robin was like a big part of the Englehart scripts.
Yeah.
Hell, the Englehart scripts were basically the origin of Robin, and the Joker killed his parents. Which, all right, whatever.
I mean,
let's take away from Tony Zuko.
What's the general
origin of Robin?
Yeah.
The circus was in debt to a gangster named Tony Zuko. To kind of punish the circus, he cuts the wire on the Flying Graysons,
and he's the only survivor.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, because it varies a lot. It's usually there was something.
The way that the animated series tells it is like pretty much how it happened.
Yeah, it's generally there was a circus thing, or like, I mean, there's the thing in Nolan that I think.
Oh, do not get me started.
That was clearly a producer's note thing.
If it was not the end of the movie, I would have got up and walked out.
Yeah, well, that was a producer's note. We'll get to that later. But that's clearly a producer's note, and I think that was more of like a joke for like because
Nolan wasn't that funny.
No, Nolan was like, I'm not making a fourth one. You guys can go fuck yourselves with this.
I'm not doing this again. Yeah, fuck you.
You know,
but we'll get to that. Because I have thoughts.
This is gonna be this is all fun and games with you. Once we get to the Nolan ones, it's gonna be kind of a heated debate, isn't it?
For the last one.
Yeah, because
I like the first two for the most part.
We're kind of on two different minds on the last one a bit.
Oh, we're on two very different fucking planets, amigo.
No, just two different minds.
No, we're in galaxies away from each other. We're in a different universe. You're in Earth 1, I'm in Earth 80.
So this is your favorite one, right?
Yes, but as I've gotten older, I've noticed its problems. I was for a very long time blinded by nostalgia because not only is this my favorite one, this is my first one. My first memory of Batman was watching this with my dad.
Yeah, most people who love this,
I think I watched it in this chair.
It's all nostalgic. It's a lot of nostalgia.
It was the biggest movie of like the 80s.
This one, and we'll talk about the other ones in the next episodes, but this one I think holds up the best.
Of the four that I forced you to watch, and I watched a few like a while back. Yeah, I would say this one holds up the best in terms of you could show it to a kid and they
Yeah,
won't like get terrified,
like
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 unlike the next one.
yeah, like you can show this to a kid and you can show this to an adult, and like it might not be like as action packed
As like
as
the Avengers or something.
yeah,
But it,
but
it
like it's a nice casual
God,
Christmas time watch.
is it really Christmas time?
The second one's more of a Christmas.
Yeah, that one's a Christmas
This one's
movie.
more of an October.
Well, I don't know, when does
May-
this one take
I would
place?
say this is like a nice summer blockbuster
Yeah,
to
this came out in the
to
summer.
maybe like a nice October.
Real quick, did you know that people broke into like like the little bus stops to steal the poster?
Oh yeah, the people do that stuff all the time.
It
Um,
was insane. People were seeing
yeah,
movies that they didn't care about just to see the trailer and get up and
yeah.
bounce.
Like I guess we should kind of wrap up the talk of this movie. Is like
Yeah.
why this one was such a big deal. Is that like no one gave a shit
About Batman.
about Batman until they saw this.
When the trailer
Um,
came out, it was like,
whoa,
wow.
this is
They never
wow.
seen anything like it
Yeah,
before.
like this was something new. No one had seen a superhero movie like this. Now, the superhero, the Superman was Superman, but it was this 70s kind of cheese to it that was out of style for like the late 80s, early
Yeah,
90s.
by the time of like Superman 4, everyone just got kind of burnt
Because,
out.
like, remember, like, the late 80s, that was the era of grunge, baby.
Yeah, movies are starting
Like,
to get different. And then Batman kind of comes in and it's like, all right, we're gonna do superhero movies seriously.
yep.
We owe the whole superhero genre to this movie because
Yeah.
they proved that Superman 1 and 2 weren't just flukes.
Yeah, no, it's like, well, these Supermen still, like, it's because Quest for Peace sucks.
And so is 3.
Like Richard Pryor and
Nuclear
what?
Man?
Yeah, like Nuclear Man, like
The fuck is Nuclear Man?
yeah,
With his nails. And
yeah,
his like Jerry curl.
yeah. That was bad. We'll
Oh.
get to those
Someday.
someday.
No promises, since I've only seen Superman 4 once.
I've never seen any of them.
I have them somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure you do. You have a big box of nerd shit over there.
Yeah, I have them in a box. Or hell, they're on HBO Max.
Oh, yeah. This broke boundaries. This introduced us to psychology
A little bit.
for its time.
I mean, obviously, later Batman movies would dive into it better, but I think a lot
I
of
mean,
it was
we were just kind of breaking the surface of like talking about mental health and all that back then. Like before, it was just like, yeah, I guess that guy's kind of nuts. Whatever.
though just as a kind of a final thought, because
Yeah.
it kind of shows, even though I think Batman in this being a detective is brilliantly done. There's a moment where he could have figured out who the Joker was way earlier.
Yeah.
So when he has the file on Jack Napier,
Uh huh.
if you look to the left,
Uh huh.
there's a piece of paper covering the younger Jack Napier mugshot.
Uh huh.
And it's like, dude, if you just move that, you could have figured out who's the killer of your parents way sooner.
Well, he was busy with other stuff.
I guess.
Well,
I don't
I'm
know.
sure maybe they were gonna have it there, and they're like, no,
I-
let's move this scene over here.
Which, how do you feel about him being a killer?
It worked. I've always liked that aspect the best, rather than just some random
I'm
douchebag.
back and forth on it. Like, I like it better as it like being a random crime, but if it's if it later turns out to be the Joker, like, okay. But,
It depends on like what that means in the story they're telling. You know,
like if
it-
the Joker just doesn't remember, like,
like
it
if
being a
it's
big
the
deal.
Joker, then hey, it's impactful. But if it's just some random guy, well, that's also impactful because it's just some random crime. It's almost like it didn't mean anything. You made it mean something. You know.
yeah. Like, yeah, hey man, like, it didn't mean anything to me. You're the one that's making this personal.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Batman '89. I think we've.
What's your score?
This is definitely a solid 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I kind of jumped from 3.5 to 4.
Yeah, that's
Um,
depending on your mood. It has pacing issues.
A lot of pacing issues in the beginning.
Because it's got a lot of producer issues, I'm sure.
John Peters.
I think everyone is pretty good. No one is outright insane.
No one's phoning it in.
No
I
one
mean,
is phoning it
even
in.
Kim Basinger, who was again last minute,
She-
she's doing a pretty okay job. Like, especially
She's
like the more
playing the
emotional
role.
scenes.
She's playing the role as she's supposed to. She
Yeah.
wasn't really given anything.
I think like when she has the emotional scenes with like him, like they're having dinner, and then her in the Batcave later. Like
Uh-huh.
that's actually like pretty good.
Uh-huh.
It's not Oscar worthy, but it's like pretty good.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, like, for a superhero movie, where everyone has to wear ridiculous costumes, like, it's Jack frickin' Nicholson
he bought the wardrobe.
in like clown makeup. No one expected him to give two flying fucks, but he did.
Yeah, and I saw an interview where he said that the Joker was always a role he wanted. So it was like, as soon as he got offered it, he was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it also made him filthy, stinking rich, but
Oh yeah, that's probably where him and Keaton made all their money.
yeah.
I guess eventually we'll have to, since we did this and we're doing the other. Eventually we're gonna have to do Birdman.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I still haven't seen it. But,
I have it on DVD, and I've just it's been sitting there just going.
So, any final thoughts?
I think without this movie, despite any of the flaws, and really despite all the flaws of the future films, we would not have great stuff like the animated series, Batman Begins. We wouldn't have Batman versus Superman. Like,
well, the Batman in Batman vs Superman.
Batman would kind of be stale.
I think Batman would still be stuck in the 60s.
Yeah, and I think, of course, we're gonna have to give more kudos to, like, the Christopher Reeve Superman, and later on in this franchise, the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah,
Sam Raimi.
if it wasn't for Sam Raimi and Christopher Nolan movies, I think superhero movies would still be in like the X-Men era and the Batman era.
Was X-Men before Spider-Man?
Yeah, X-Men was like 99.
Really?
Yeah. Where, they're still like coy about having them wear colorful costumes. Like that's why like
they're all in leather jackets and yeah. Well, I mean those work too. I mean they're I think it's more of a we don't have the fucking budget to give all these people
throw Hugh Jackman into yellow spandex.
Yeah, like, we don't have the budget for all these people wearing spandex. Everyone gets the same fucking.
You get a leather jacket. You get a leather jacket.
Yeah, they're all like, "Oh, we don't want to do that." It's like, no, we don't have the budget for that. Do you have any idea how much CGI money it is for his claws every time he goes, huh?
Yeah. Overall, it's my favorite Batman movie.
This is definitely like. I would probably put this on as something to entertain myself more than Batman Begins.
If I wanted something that was more accurate to the comics, I'd hit up Batman Begins.
This is more comic style,
yes,
but not comic accurate.
Oh hell no!
Like
this Batman literally blows up a building full of dudes.
Like the beautiful thing is, yeah. Well, I guess before we wrap it up, yeah, like this feels like a comic come to life. I think that's
the big thing.
That was what really hit this, is that they wanted a comic to life. That's why it's still kind of campy. That's why it's still a little cheesy. And I think it's one of my favorites because this is the one where, like, I've always said it, Keaton's the one that kills. Keaton has murdered several people in his two films.
And we'll go over that as we progress.
He blows up a chemical factory, killing dudes. He killed
the Joker.
He killed the Joker.
He even told the Joker, "I'm going to kill you."
In the next film, there's a guy who has a bomb.
I love that one.
Like, he throws dudes over buildings.
Oh shit!
They clearly die for that. There's a guy that has a bomb on him.
Nah, man, they had parachutes.
There's a dude with a bomb on him, and he just kind of like, he laughs and he kicks them.
Yeah, he like smiles at him. He's like, "Go fuck yourself." And then he killed Ray Charles. In '89.
There's a the one with the bomb. He goes into this growl movement, and people have used the still of this half frame of this weird face he used. Yeah, like where it looks like he's like he's
like just lost his fucking mind.
Yeah, and it's like the best. It's the best photo.
All right, I think that's it. We will see you guys again with Batman Returns.
Yeah, well, let's see you. Batman Returns. All right, see you guys later.